All right. I'd like to call to order the City of Natchitoches Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I'd ask everyone to turn their phones off or on silent at this time. The next city council meeting is March the 14th. Applications for rezoning will be introduced at that time for introduction only. They'll lay over until March the 28th, 2022, where final voting will occur. All interested parties are encouraged to attend both of them. If there are any, we have a subdivision, I know, tonight, so, and a tiny home place, but those would be subject to being final in 11 days if no one took an appeal. I'd ask everybody to have signed in. If they didn't sign in before, come to the AMBO and identify yourselves. Please speak directly into the mic. And if we have any Zoom participants, please mute your mics at this time. Our next Planning Commission meeting is Tuesday, April the 4th, 2022 at 5 p.m. at this location. The procedure we'll follow is the applicant or his designee will come forward after a quick summary by the director. We'll hear from the applicant or his designee about the application. Then we'll hear from all persons interested in joining in the application or an approval of the application. Then we'll hear anyone opposed to the application. And if necessary, after that, we'll hear rebuttal from a single person designated by the applicant to address only the issues raised in the rebuttal and in the opposition. Then we'll move to discussion by commission members and voting. Did I miss anything, Ms. Rock?
No, sir.
All right. Roman numeral 2, Ms. Oaks, roll call.
Ethel Blake.
Here.
Ron Brown.
Here.
Bobby Claiborne. Isaac Lewis.
Here.
Jamie Flanagan. Michael Lewis.
Here.
Anita DuBois.
Here.
Charles Whitehead III.
Here.
And Ricky McAllister.
Here.
Well, did she call you?
Bobby Claiborne.
Yeah, she did.
Okay. All right. By my count, that's a quorum.
Yes, sir.
The commissioners have been provided draft copies of the February 15th special call meeting. I want to take this time to thank everybody for making time out of their busy schedule for that special call. It was a function of a snafu at the Natchitoches Times on advertising. It was clearly not the fault of our department. They simply missed one of the 3 dates we asked them to publish. And there were some critical things that had to be done at that meeting to let some of the big projects in Natchitoches go forward. Certainly appreciate everybody coming. If there are no additions, corrections, deletions, I'll entertain a motion to waive their formal reading and accept them as provided.
I make a motion.
Motion by Lewis.
I'll second.
Second by DuBois. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. So we stand, I'll sign those, Ms. Oaks, at the end. Recording for all city meeting videos will now be posted at the city's website. To watch the video, the users can subscribe to the city's YouTube channel at City of Natchitoches, LA, or visit the city's website at www.natchitochesla.gov/content/meeting-videos. Roman numeral 4, old business. We have no old business. Is that correct, Ms. Rock?
No old business at this time.
All right. Moving on, Roman numeral 5, subsection A, the application by Ms. Cammie Hildenbrand to subdivide the following lot on the west side of Oma Street, having a front of 96.3 feet by a depth of 148 feet, bounded on the north by Fly and south by Urbach, and lot contains 0.826 acres, shown as tract 3 on a plat of survey by Brandon C. Thornton, professional land surveyor, dated January 15, 2021, recorded map slide 823A. Reason is for residential use, Oma Street. Exhibit number 1, councilperson district number 1. Would the applicant or his designee come forward while we get a summary from the director?
Okay, as you remember, or as you recall, this is some of the properties or the land that was there for development by the Rose Brothers on St. Maurice Lane. So the property by Ms. Hildebrand is being subdivided into 3 lots. You have 2 separate plats in front of you. One is just showing where those 3 lots are, or one of the lots is adding to 2 additional lots. I have one map that shows 64.4 square feet. So they went in and they redid the plats to show that lot size been added to tract 1. Same for the parcel of information at the bottom by tract 4. It's taken on additional lot sizes from that. So it was just a subdivision of the parcel for Ms. Hildebrand.
And as I understand it, it's one lot being cracked into 3 pieces, but 2 of the 3 pieces are being added to additional lots and incorporated in there. So there are no additional lots being created. It's
Correct.
the same number of lots. We're just adjusting the sizes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Gillette, would you state your name and who you're representing tonight?
Yes, my name's Chris Gillette, and I'm here on behalf of Ms. Cammie Hildebrand, who was the applicant. And that is accurate. This was originally the tract 3 from the subdivision that we did last year of the Rhodes Brothers property. Tract 3 was a larger tract. It's owned by Mrs. Hildebrand, and 2 of the neighbors have asked Mrs. Hildebrand to be able to purchase part of tract 3 so that they can make their lots a little bit larger, which is shown, I think, on the survey. So it will be the same number of lots, as you say. I believe the PARs that own tract 1 will increase their lot size a little bit by buying part of tract 3. And Mr. and Ms. Begona Perez will increase their lot size by also buying part of tract 3.
All right. I forgot to ask Ms. Rock, any comments from anybody? We get any comments in the mail, email, any of that?
No
on this?
comments at all.
All right, any questions for Mr. Gillette by commission members? Mr.
So-
Gillette? Go ahead.
So this total amount of property that she has, that was purchased from the Rhodes Brothers, is that correct?
Yes,
And
sir.
that was subdivided for
Yes, sir.
different individuals?
That's correct. That's correct.
And basically, you said it was only going to be used to enlarge some lots that already have residences on them?
Correct.
It's not to build on, in other words?
No, sir. No, sir. The 2 lots that are going to purchase part of Lot 3 already have homes on them.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So tract 1 will be slightly bigger, tract 4 will be slightly bigger, and tract 3 will be slightly smaller. But tract 3 will still be almost a half an acre. Is that right, Ms. Rock? Mr.
Yes.
Gillette?
Yes.
That's correct.
All right. Anybody else to speak on behalf of the application of Hildebrand? I'll get it right. Hearing none, is there any opposition to the application of Hildebrand? Hearing none, discussion by commission members.
I move we approve.
Motion by DuBois to approve, second by McAllister. All in favor say like sign.
Aye.
All right. All opposed? All right, Mr. Gillette, I will sign that plat here probably today. I'll probably sign it this evening. Ms. Rock will circulate it around to department heads. If there's been no appeal filed on the 11th day, it'll be your responsibility to retrieve the Mylar from Ms. Rock, record it with Mr. Stamey at the clerk's office, and provide her a copy showing the map slide and instrument number and date of recording.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Roman numeral 5, new business, subsection B, an application by Ryan Solon for a tiny home placement lot with 160 feet fronting on side of Salter Street, north by Evans, east by Gagan, west by the Ashcross Subdivision. The reason is a residential tiny home bearing municipal address 1508 Salter Street, exhibit number 2, exhibit number 2 in Commissioner's packet, councilperson district number 1. Summary by the director.
This property is down Salter Streets. We have an address of 1508 Salter. With a tiny home placement, you know, we have to know what the difference is between a tiny home, a trailer home, a mobile home, or a manufactured home. With a tiny home has to meet ICC regulations for residential home bills. In this case, what he's presenting is a tiny home. In fact, it is regulated by ICC regulations. I let him know that he needed to still make an application before planning and zoning for approval before moving in or constructing the tiny home.
And for those of us that are the uninitiated, the ICC are the same regulations that require for a stick-built home, is that correct?
Yes,
And we'll have a certificate or have an inspection showing that it meets that?
we will.
Before it's CO? All right. Clerk, sir, please state your name and what you plan to do, or any changes to what Ms. Rock said about your application.
Yes, sir. My name is Ryan Solon. Everything she said is correct. We just want to place this tiny house on on this land for my daughter who's going to school here at Northwestern.
All right.
And this sheet that has a number of buildings on it, is that to illustrate what's going there, or?
I don't have what you have.
What
Yeah,
is-
so we circled the one that we're looking at
I see.
purchasing. So the circled one give you guys an idea of what
The little
it's,
front porch, yeah.
yeah, what it's gonna look like.
And you just finished the inside.
Yes, sir. We purchase it, it's delivered, we place it, secure it using whatever anchors they use, and then we finish the inside.
This aerial photo, is that where it's gonna be right here?
Yes.
Yes. And there's already an existing building, there's an existing outbuilding that is placed there. We will be moving that further back on that property so that we can be within the guidelines of off the road, off the lot lines. So well within we've got plenty of space there.
Good. Do you have a home on this lot?
Do I have a
Is there
home?
another home on, I see there's another building. Is that a home or is that?
No,
building?
those are all, one's a
buildings.
old pole barn,
Okay.
another one is a storage building, and then the third one
So
is
this would be the
again,
only quote-unquote
Only
residence
residential.
there?
only
Okay.
residence.
All right. Any more questions for Mr. Solon? Anybody here to speak on the application of Solon? Anybody to speak in opposition to the application of Solon? Hearing none, discussion by commission members.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McAllister to approve, second by Ms. Dubois. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. I would assume this falls under the Thompson Amendment in that it'll be final in 11 days. Is that right, Ms. Rock?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Solon, if you check with Ms. Rock and make sure that, in 11 days, if nobody's filed an appeal, it's final, you'll go forward and you'll have to go through her office for the permitting and the inspection. And, they'll go over with you the staging of inspections. You'll have it in the rough, so they'll need to come inspect the plumbing and the electricity before you cover the walls up.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Roman numeral 5, new business, subsection C, the application by Graylu Ventures LLC to rezone the following lots 1 and 2 at the northeast corner of Texas Street and 4th Street, shown on map slide 366A of the records of Natchitoches Parish, Louisiana, from B2 commercial to B2 commercial with additional BA zoning, and to request special exception to be open until 2 a.m. on the weekend. The reason is to operate as a cigar lounge and for alcohol consumption on the premises, bearing municipal address 312 Texas Street, exhibit number 3 in the commissioner's packet, and councilperson district number 4, summary by the director.
This is the property at 312 Texas Street. It's actually, I've always known it to be the old Washateria, but Chairman Whitehead called it something else.
It was Mercer or Hub Scott's grocery store until the late 60s, early 70s.
So there is a proposal for a cigar lounge here. There are some questions that we do need to follow up on to make sure that the application is final. So we do have Mr. Lewis here to speak on the application a bit more. So whatever questions you have, he'll be able to answer for you.
All right, Mr. Lewis, you heard the brief summary by the director. Can you tell us what it is that you plan to do here?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Mark Lewis here. I am a native of Natchitoches, glad to be back. Just imagine that when you finish this meeting, you'll be able to go to a place with leather seats. You'll be able to have someone give you a nice cold glass of wine. If you would like to partake in a cigar, you can do so in the comfort of Onyx Wine and Cigar Lounge. It's a very upscale atmosphere that will be provided for people that want to, like yourself, to just relax. This is something that Natchitoches doesn't have. This is something that I've always wanted to do in the last 10 years because in 1997 when I was in New York, I had a chance to have a glass of Wolf Blast Sauvignon, Petit Verdot Merlot mix blend, and that just set my life on fire from that glass of wine. And from there, I became a sommelier level 2. So I am just wanted to share the experience to the residents of Natchitoches and, of course, anyone else that's coming in from Shreveport or Alexandria and so forth. So that is basically the Onyx Wine and Cigar Lounge, changing the culture, the experience, and having the community connection within Natchitoches.
Mr. Lewis, let me ask you this. What is the orientation of that? There's no north or south on this. What is the orientation of this, and is this the existing building?
That is the existing building. The cars on the bottom of your paper, that is the front of the building.
That's Texas Street?
Yes, sir, that is Texas Street.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Lewis?
I'm curious about the lockers and bathroom, bath, shower. How does that all fit in with the,
So with cigar lounges, which is custom now, you have lockers where members can purchase a locker and keep their, whatever they want, their cigars, their alcohol, or whatever they want to have in their locker. So when they come to the establishment, they just go to their locker and they partake from there. The shower is already there, so we're just gonna keep it.
Any other questions?
So there will not be alcohol sold on the premises? In other words, they'll bring their own, or are you selling alcohol also there?
It would be both, correct. It would be both.
From there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
Right now, cigar lounges are one of the hottest things that has hit the market, where members are able to purchase, and they can go whenever they want to. They have their lockers there, but at the same time, people that come into the establishment, being what we have established, where you can purchase at our place.
No, there's a building directly behind that, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there gonna be any kind of barrier between y'all building and that building?
No, sir. That's the, I think, True Value building. And right now, it's just a storage facility use. So it's no interference, there's no barriers behind there.
Okay, and the next question, is there gonna be any kind of security here all the time, or what?
Well, of course, when it gets late at night, we will have security, but the atmosphere we're providing, we're not at the point looking at security. But if it's needed, then of course we will have it.
Mr. Lewis, I have a question about this covered patio.
Uh-huh.
Looks like it's gonna seat about 24, 28 people. Am I reading that right?
Between 20 and 30, yes, sir.
All right, and it's not gonna be included in the heated and cooled space, is that what you're saying?
That's correct. So a lot of people like to go outside and just beautiful days and relax.
All right. Well, I've got several questions for you,
Okay.
none of which you're gonna like.
Okay.
I pulled the plat that you purchased from, and by my estimation, you don't have the space to put these 5 parking spots in front, that you don't have 20 feet between the edge of the building and the edge of your property line. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is, you can't double stack your parking like you're showing on the west side. I mean, that's double parking. I mean, that just isn't appropriate in our
I agree.
planning and zoning. The other biggest problem that you have you engaged the services of an attorney or anything to research whether you could sell alcohol by the drink here?
No, because there's several establishments that do here, so we're,
Well, the problem that you got is that there was a referendum in 1949 that made this part of the city dry for consumption on the premises of anything exceeding 6% alcohol. And that hasn't been repealed by another referendum by the city. I mean, the city government can't do it, the people have to do it. And that was done by referendum in April of 1949. Now, the thing's been chipped away where we had the state law changed for the federal historic district allowing restaurants. Then we came back and got them to amend that to say federal, state, or local historic districts, and the city council extended the local district out. So you've got some of the pre-49 city that can serve alcohol, both high and low by the drink, but they have to be in the historic district, a historic district, one of the three historic districts. Actually, we only have a federal and a local. We don't have a state district here. So they've got exemptions in that, but they only are with restaurant permits. And so I've reviewed the referendum from 49. I've gone over it with the director. I mean, it appears that you're in that zone that you can't serve anything for consumption on premises that exceeds 6%.
so, okay, I'm sorry.
Sure.
So to address what you said first with the parking in front, that we can fix that and work with that.
We'll get back to that, but I mean,
And then-
I want it, because we need to have an in-depth discussion
Yeah.
about the parking. But I mean, the thing that I see is your biggest impediment is that the people of Natchitoches voted that dry. And we don't have the ability to override them. Once it's done by referendum, it can only be undone by referendum.
So to understand what you're saying, in 1949, there was a referendum that said that you cannot have alcohol in exceed of 94% versus your food sales.
No. What it said, and I thought I brought it with me, but I guess I left that folder on my desk. It was three proposals. One was the sale of alcohol, beer, wine, porter, ale, fruit juice, and I can't remember, between 3.2 and 6%, will that be allowed in the city of Natchitoches? They voted yes, that will be allowed. Then the second referendum would be, will alcoholic beverages containing more than 6% be sold in the city of Natchitoches for consumption on premises? That was voted no. The third proposition was, will alcohol of high content, and at that point in time it was 6% or higher, be sold for package only and no consumption on premises? Will that be allowed in the city of Natchitoches? And that was yes. So what you had is beer and low-end wine. That's 1949. Remember, we're not dealing in 2022.
Right.
You could sell beer anywhere in the beer and anything 6% or less.
Right.
Consumption on premises, you could do that anywhere in the city in 47 and 49 rather. You could only sell high alcohol, which is over 6%, for package only.
Right.
Still the law.
Right.
And then the medium one, which would cover, I think, what you would say, what you would want is more than 6% would be, was voted no. Now, like, as I said, we've done carve-outs in the pre-49 city for the historic districts. There was a case that was tried here in 1979 or 78. It was filed by Hubert Froba, and he challenged whether that referendum applied outside the 49 city, which would be most of East Natchitoches, Highway 1 South, all that, Kaiser Avenue, and the court ruled that the referendum is only effective as to the territorial limits at the time the referendum was held. And the only reason I give you all this is because you're like anybody else. You drive around the city of Natchitoches and you see that they're selling mixed drinks at El Nopal on Highway 1 South. They're selling them at Chili's. But, you know, that wasn't in the city in 49. And so what we've got is this April 3, 49 city where we've got a ring around it, or essentially the part of it that's in East Natchitoches is literally that first row of homes that essentially go from Byrd Avenue to the Kaiser Avenue Bridge. Well, those are going to be homes. There's no bar or restaurant going to go over there. So what you're stuck with is this sort of horseshoe on the west side that rings around the historic district that goes out to the 47 city. It's, like I said, I left mine at the office, but it goes about to the, now I was looking, well, is that it? Goes about to the cemetery, I guess, on Berry, you know?
I can't see it. I can't see that at all.
Do you have that thing I sent you? Did you bring that? I think there's an attachment on there.
Which one? Because this is everything that you
I think
left.
it's the very last one. I think it's a better copy of this. Maybe I didn't make a copy of it out of Mr. Merkins' file. Here it is. It's hard for me to see. I'd have to blow it up, but it doesn't look like it goes. Doesn't quite go to the funeral, to the graveyard there. That's the end of Berry Avenue. That was outside the city in 49.
So you're saying that the consumption of wine and beer is okay, correct?
No, sir. I'm saying that for sale, where you are,
Okay.
where you fall, you could serve beer and any wine under 6%, which in today's world is virtually nothing. Maybe a wine cooler. Most of those good cabs and Merlots are running 10, 11, 12%. Because I'm a wine drinker and I like the dark cabs and Merlots, and I mean, you just don't find anything that's 6% anymore. Some little rosé or something like that. I mean, maybe. So I mean, you really need to consult an attorney to help you with this, because I don't want to see you spend any more soft cost on it. You know, we could talk about the parking, but this appears to me to be something that stops you in your, there's no sense in thrashing out the parking. I mean, we'll talk about it tonight because you're here, you're driven from Dallas, and, you know, I don't want you to get over one hurdle and then we talk about another hurdle. I want to talk about everything that I see tonight.
So the main hurdle that we're talking about is 1949 referendum?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. And I provided a copy of it to Chantrell. I got it from the assistant city attorney out of his dad's file because it's very hard to find. I know I'd found it at one time, provided it to Miss Fowler, and she took a map, which is now really old, that showed, which we probably need to update for ease of use for the director of planning and zoning. Chantrell's new and didn't even know this map existed.
So if we turned it into a restaurant and had more food than sales?
No,
that
you're
could-
not in a historic district. It has to be in a federal, local, or state historic district if it's in the pre-49 city. I know, that's, I mean, you know, if you could get annexed, if you can get them to redraw the line for the local historic district, that would solve your problem. But now that's something the city council can do without, I mean, there still is a public hearing on it, but it doesn't require a citywide referendum, which is an election.
Gotcha. Okay.
And And so, you know, by my review, and of course, we don't have a complete set of plans, I mean, what kind of license is the, have you applied for with the ATC?
No, ATC states that you shouldn't apply for your license until you're complete with your building.
All right, so what kind of license are you gonna apply for?
The
with
ATC, yes.
Pardon?
The alcohol and tobacco license, yes.
Well, there's about 6 kinds, so I'm trying to figure out what kind you're gonna apply for.
The wine, just for the wine and beer that we're gonna have.
All right, for consumption on premises?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you have a set of drawings for what you propose to do here?
You have just a rough copy of something that
Well, we just have a treatment. I'm talking
Yeah.
about engineered drawings.
oh,
even-
not at this moment, no. Because we're trying to work with one hurdle at a time, yes.
All right. Well, by my calculation, I mean, the existing building is 4,200 square feet.
Correct.
And if you classify it a restaurant, that is gonna be 42 parking spots.
Right.
And you don't have enough square feet for 42 parking spots. In fact, on lot 2, you have no parking.
Right.
Let me,
And-
I do have, let me just get this trying to follow.
Sure.
Is this Texas Street?
4th Street,
Okay, this is Texas Street.
yes, sir.
Gotcha, okay.
And so I mean, you know, it looks to me like you could put 12 parking spots on lot 1.
Right.
And that's from looking at it. If this patio comes in here, depending on the size of the patio, that might knock you out of, you know, 4 parking spots there. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you get 12 parking spots, you're still gonna be 30 parking spots short.
For the restaurant, yes, sir.
So how are you gonna comply with that?
Well, I mean, again, I gotta jump over this other hurdle first, so.
Yes, sir.
So
Well, I mean,
I
I mean,
can't-
it's one of the things, my preference, and I don't vote except as in a case of a tie. But I mean, before, I would not want to vote on something like this that I know, first of all, is not allowed by referendum unless we get an opinion from the city attorney. He puts it in writing, we append it to your, application.
Right.
I'm not gonna tell him his job, but I've done this long enough to know, and went to law school myself, and fought this commission until the day I was put on it. So I'm well familiar with the rules and regulations, but that's my reading of it.
Okay.
But now,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So if he was able to get annexed into that historic district
Correct.
over there, he still got a serious problem with the parking.
that's correct.
I mean, we couldn't really approve it if
I mean,
that did not
I
exist
wouldn't-
because of the parking.
I would say that, I would not, now, y'all, the majority of
Yeah, I
y'all wanna
understand.
take it up, y'all can do whatever you wanna do. But I mean, why do we wanna argue about a BA when we're 30 parking spots short? And it's nothing I'm gonna hold you to, Mr. Lewis, but I mean, you know, the only thing that appears to be appropriate is for you to enter into some type of shared parking agreement with whoever owns the old Aaron's building.
Correct. That's one of the things that we have set aside already. Do not have it in writing right now for you.
Well, and of course, you have to have that. And I think, you know, my preference would be is to have them tell us how many parking spots they have at the Aaron's building so that we know if you need 30 parking spots, how much are they giving you?
Right.
You know, if they're giving you, you know, some number, if they're giving you 30% of their parking for shared parking, that doesn't give me any heartburn. If they're giving you 60% of what they're required to have, or some other number, that kind of bothers me. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I totally
mean, I don't think
understand. I totally
they've got-
understand.
I don't think they have surplus parking because the way the building is configured. The problem that you've got is the way the building is configured on the 4th Street side, at least inside the chain link fence, it's impossible to get more than single parking in there. There's no way to get, the only place you can get double parking is in the front by Texas Street. In other words, 2 rows of parking, because to get 2 rows of parking, If it's straight parking, I think it's 20-foot length for each parking spot, right?
Right,
And then 20 or 25 for the drive,
right.
20.
20. So you gotta have 60 feet to have, double parking. And it meets this. I don't think they have enough to do that, but I don't.
Also, just pitching in there for you need to find out how many they're required to have.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We need an
what-
inventory of what they have.
Yeah, what they're
What you're
required.
required to have, and then see how the blend goes.
Yes.
About sharing the parking.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about when I'm talking about the
Yeah.
30 and 60%.
So, the first thing is to talk about or deal with the referendum.
Right. And
And
then I
once-
think you.
once we-
And if your mind and in your attorney's mind, you get that squared away or can get it squared away, at the same time, you need to bring forward the parking issue. Now fortunately, I don't know if you have a copy of the plat that you bought from.
Yes, I do.
I
So,
mean, an engineer can take this, they don't have to go on the ground. Excuse me, an engineer can take this and take our parking ordinance and figure out whatever they need to figure out. So it's not like you've got to send a surveying crew out here to lay out your parking spots. A good CAD guy can take this, the data from this, and figure it out.
so are the requirements for parking different from a restaurant for what I'm trying to do?
What you're trying to do, in my opinion, and my opinion doesn't count in this case, only her opinion counts. I would classify this a restaurant. Because if just looking at what you're talking about doing, if somebody handed this to me and said, what is this? This looks to me like a restaurant. It's the only thing it could be.
Yeah, but it's not, so that's why I was trying to make sure.
But when there's not a definition in the code, it falls on her. She's the one who makes the determination in a case of an ambiguity.
And in terms of the number of parking spaces required, that's based on the square footage of the
One
building.
per 100.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that being the case, then if it falls under restaurant, then how would it fall under the 1949 referendum?
They're not exactly the same thing. There is
That's
not a classification of cigar lounge under our parking ordinance.
Right.
So it's incumbent on Ms. Rock to determine what this best fits under the categories that are delimited therein.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
But if it was,
Well, that-
let's just say it could be categorized as a restaurant.
And
Unless-
ultimately, if he tries to get it put in the historic district, in an historic district, or I guess a historic district, my French is showing, then he's gonna have to reconfigure it to make it a restaurant.
But he's
I
still.
look at it like it's a bar. I mean, he's not serving food. I mean, he's doing drinks and cigars. So I mean, he serving burgers
Well,
and.
let's put it this way.
You know what I'm
There's
saying?
no way he can have a bar. The only way in my mind he can do this is have the historic district expanded, include this, and make it a restaurant.
But I'm agreeing with Mr. McAllister, but even if it's a restaurant, he's still restricted in terms of what alcoholic
No,
beverages.
if it's included in the historic district, it can, and the only reason to include it in the historic district is to get under the restaurant loophole so you can serve everything.
Where are the boundaries for the historic district right now?
The historic district goes, it starts at Texas Street, goes to Second Street, no, goes to Third Street, comes down Third, goes up to Fourth, over to Amulet, down to University Parkway, down University Parkway, all the way back to Texas Street. That is the national landmark historic district, or the federal district. The city had extended the local district to include the brewery, and extended the local district to include the Cane River Bar and Grill, or whatever it's called now.
All right.
I'm not as clear on that, exactly what the boundaries of that are, but I'm clear on what the federal one is. Because unfortunately, I've run it and have to live up to the regulations, so and my office building is in it, so I'm real familiar, but that's the scope of the national district. And the local district is very small, and isn't that right, Ms. Rock? It just reaches out and catches part of the Arthur Daniel Midland plant, and I don't think does it go past Cane River Bar and Grill?
So in other words, would he have to go through the federal and the state?
No,
or
it
just
can be any
Either
one of the
Either.
three. It can be local, state, or federal.
He just needs to
We
get-
don't have a state here, so my suggestion would be, if the local will expand it up 3 blocks or 4 blocks or whatever, but it only gets you where you want to go, Mr. Lewis, with a restaurant.
Yeah, so he would pick it up again on Mr. McAllister's point. His entire operation would be very different than what's being
Yes.
presented tonight.
Yes. I mean, I don't see, like I said, if you need to
We can't
engage an
call it a
attorney.
restaurant and have a cigar lounge.
Well, but, there's a criteria for food sales in a
I got you.
restaurant.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
that's the problem. But I would strongly encourage you to engage the services of an attorney who does this for a living and contact the city attorney and see if there's something that can be done other than what I'm seeing, Mr. Lewis.
Okay, I appreciate the information.
But
Because
like I s-
this is something that, didn't know about, so it's 1949 referendum, that's a long time ago, so good.
I understand.
Would you like to withdraw your application
Well, I think
at
we
this
can
time?
Table it.
Just
We can table it and
Table.
amend it later. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's probably gonna require a new application, to be honest with you, Mr. Lewis, because by the time you do the shared parking and this other stuff, it's probably gonna require much more robust,
Yeah, application, yeah.
and look, Ms. Rock's door is open, and she's got a direct line to me. I mean, we'll try to help you anyway. We're just not trying to violate the city law.
No, again, you're sharing something that we
Yeah,
didn't know, I didn't know about.
as long as you're just fooling with soft costs now, we just sure don't want you to start turning dirt without having everything approved.
No, this is why we're here, communicate and talk, so I appreciate the information.
Okay, but Charlie, once again, if it becomes a restaurant,
Right.
based on the square footage of the restaurant, he's still gonna be required to have the same number of parking places.
It's
correct?
probably more than 42, Ron, because I think the director's capable of requiring additional parking for the covered patio. Because I think that's square footage under there, because you're talking about putting another 20
It'd be a lot
people
more
in
than
there.
42. It'd be a lot
What's
more.
that?
It'd probably be a lot more than 42, for a 4,200 square foot building, it'd be a lot more than 42.
Well, it's one, just on the building, at 1 per 100, it's 42.
Right.
But with the covered patio, we don't have the dimensions, so we've got to figure it out. It appears to me to be about 12 by 80, but, I'm not sure the drawing's to scale, so, All right, well, let's get them, and look,
Motion to
feel
table.
free to call Miss,
We need to make a motion.
we will. So the chair will entertain a motion at this time.
No, a
Motion to table.
Second.
Lewis makes the motion. Blake seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right. Last thing on the agenda is Ms. Blake.
Yes.
You're in the
Report of
position to
office
make the
activity.
final motion.
Report of
I
office
motion that
activity.
the meeting is adjourned.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you all for coming.
No office activities, Mr.